Hey friends, welcome back to another poster countdown. Coming up in today's episode, not only do we review the top 10 posters from omgposters.com of last month, but we've got lots of good side stories. Mitch and Billy bring up a lot of interesting points inspired by today's posters, but we also talk about the Jack White vibe thing. The longer it goes on, are we still feeling the whole Jack White vibe, his heavy narrative in the world of artwork? We talk about our good bud, Jason Edmonston, and his recent recreation of the Jaws artwork from the original movie. We also have Billy review another artist poster and talk about depth and illustration. How do you make your ram on the side of a rock look real and not look like a sticker? We also talk about the difference in illustration versus poster. An amazing illustration doesn't always make for an amazing poster. And last, but certainly not least, I play a little game called What in the Hell Am I Looking At? Where we look at an artist's work and try to figure out what in the hell are we looking at? All of these side stories, as well as 10 posters reviewed and critiqued, all available for members of the Circle of Trust. Make sure you go to aidpodcast.com, sign up today. That'll get you the top 5 prints, as well as many of these side stories and so much more. When you support Adventures in Design, you support the Poster Countdown, you support this type of content showing up Monday through Friday. What do you say we get started with AID 802? It's the top poster countdown of July 2018. And it starts right after this. Hey friends, I got great news. Jack Prince has just announced free shipping site-wide. All day, every day. Standard ground shipping is now on their house. But hey, your clients don't know the shipping was free. Hint, hint. They don't call me Market Up Bricky for nothing. Every bit you save is every bit you make. Jack Prince not only has industry low prices, but now free standard shipping for all 48 states. Save money on shipping, save money by listening to Adventures in Design. Visit jackprince.com/circle of trust to save 15% off your next order. And hey, the shipping is on Jack Prince House. Visit jackprince.com/circle of trust.
You're listening to the AID Network.
Coming to you live from the Saul Rosenberg Studios, broadcasting worldwide into all ships at sea, here comes another action-packed episode of Adventures in Design.
Poster Countdown. On the show today we have our good friend Mitch Putnam from omgposters.com and Mondo Tees. Hello, Mitch.
Hi.
And we are joined by everybody's favorite poster critiquer, the man that said, don't give me any shitty posters this month, but we know that's impossible. Ladies and gentlemen, make some noise for the on the drums, Billy Baldwin.
You know, I was thinking, Mark, oh yeah, on the drums. Shit. You're going to add that in later, right? The
post drums.
How is that, Mitch, how is that t-shirt business going, by the way?
What t-shirt business?
Mondo Tees. How's that going?
Oh. You know, this is something that gets talked about This is something that gets talked about an awful lot.
Weren't you just at the t-shirt convention last weekend?
This is something that gets talked about an awful lot within the company about if, let's just say this, the person that owns Mondo.com wants a lot of money for it, so.
But can't you, this is what I would do. Listen to me.
All right.
Go to Mondo. Who owns Mondo Posters?
Yeah, but then we're just, okay.
Yeah, then you got more shit.
We're also,
yeah.
It's just as ridiculous to call us a poster company.
Well, no, not just as ridiculous.
Well, sure.
Yeah. You could be called Mondo Austin.
Before we get started today, I would like to give a shout out to artists that if your poster was on OMG Posters in the month of July, there's probably at least a 50% chance you're going to get covered here this month because that's how few posts were on the site in July.
It was 2 pages full of posters, whereas a lot of times it can be 3.5. So there was about 1.5 missing, but what are we going to do? There was still some good stuff on there. In fact, I think we have a very strong top 10 this month.
Yeah, I would just like to say it was the month of Comic-Con, and in the month of Comic-Con, it takes over my life. So
absolutely. And there you go. That's Mitch always subtly crying for help that he needs an intern. So if you don't want to work for free, Mitch is your guy.
I will get these emails. These emails will happen.
Mitch, we actually got some good feedback from the last one, and forgive me for not having my notes in front of me. I'm a little bit frazzled this evening. Had some tech difficulties, but you guys remember I debated, I'm like, do we do this or do we not? And in the circle of trust, we went into an artist where there was like 3 or 4 posters, and we're like, half of these posters make sense, but there's something wrong on all of them. Remember that?
It was that Alexander Hankey, that Zum it's in German or something. Yeah. Yes.
And so he listened to the Circle of Trust content, which means thank you for being a member or a thief. And he commented that, I was collaborating with a friend, and thanks a lot, because I felt like there was something a little bit off and I was trying to find my way. And it made me happy that we had that discussion. We weren't dickheads. We just literally were like, there's a lot of really good stuff here. There's a couple things that seem off. And he actually found value from it and wrote us to say thank you. So that made me very excited.
Yeah, I thought it was great. And I thought it explained everything, that some of them were a collaboration. But at the same time, he did say that he has been struggling with kind of a fork in the road stylistically. And so having clear feedback on that is probably something you don't get every day.
Oh, that was awesome. And then Dan Culkin told me that he's glad to be...
Oh, God.
He told me that he's glad to be... how did he phrase it?
Oh, God.
You know how we always say, oh, well, this is good for Ken Taylor, or this is, from Aaron Horkey. He said that he was glad to be in that category where there's like an exception around your name. It's like, oh, well, there's a standard for this person, and this one didn't meet the standard. So he said that he was glad to be in that rarefied air.
It's true. I mean, that is true. It takes a lot to make a poster that good that you're like, it's good, but it's not Dan Culkin good. You gotta be pretty far up the ladder for that. And if he wants to come on the show and tell us that it's his best poster he's ever done, I'll be happy to hear him out.
Oh, there you go, ladies and gentlemen. There's your poster countdown for July 2018. We'll see you next month. Goodbye. Billy, how you doing, bud?
Good. A little hot.
Yeah,
Good.
yeah. 'Tis the season. How's Delicious running?
Good. Landing some new clients. I don't know if I'm allowed to talk about it. Oh well, fuck it. I'm in the weed business now, Mark.
Oh, that's right.
Oh, you know what? I know a lot of people that are getting into that business, and it's quite lucrative.
That's why they didn't want to go with Mondo Posters, because they know Mondo Weed is on the horizon.
I know. Yeah, I know a certain printing company that's turned into like a lot of their work is printing weed packaging.
Really?
Yes.
I'll tell you
this is for beverages.
Oh, I don't even know what that means.
Like THC and what's the other thing that's in weed?
CBD.
CBD drinks, edibles. It's edibles but drinkables.
Wow.
Lunchables.
Once MondoWeed.com gets launched, I'll tell you right now, you're looking at a guy that's going to put down some serious. You're in some Kevin Tong. All right, Kevin Tong would be such a good blend of weed. I love it. All right.
I think Tragic Sunshine would be a better name for that.
I mean, he's double. Hey,
I don't know. I mean, in all seriousness, if someone could get through to licensed weed, you're looking at probably a pretty profitable business. Like if you could put out half-baked licensed Mr. Nice Guy weed, I feel like that would sell.
There you go. I mean, it is an insane business. The weed shops, whatever they want to call it, they have dispensaries. Thank you. They have bought up so much key real estate in LA, Orange County, Long Beach, where we live.
Really?
They buy it and they hold on to it. So there's just been businesses where I know that the rent's about $10,000 to $15,000 a month that have sat empty for months because they're waiting, hoping to get the proper permit. It's insane the money they throw around. And I'm like, do we need one on every corner? But then somebody was like, yeah, but look how many bars are on every corner. And I'm like, all right, fair play. All right, let's jump into our countdown. Number 10 on our poster countdown. I always like to put something wacky up at the top. This is our wacky poster of the month. Bricky's wacky poster.
It's a DK&G poster.
Dang, Billy's got a bone to pick.
He has been so jealous of them for so long. It burns his soul. It burns his soul.
To pick. I know.
Oh,
So jealous. So jealous. All right, number 10.
oh my God!
Is
really
Burger Joint. It's a print by Stefan Glerum from Black Dragon Press. All right, now the horizontal poster gets judged a little bit differently because it's kind of hard to get in there and see what's going on. But Burger Joint color palette makes me feel like a little kid. Textures are light enough to make it feel old but not completely beat up. And the wackiness of it, it's fun. I like it. I like Burger Joint.
Yeah, no, I thought this was cool too. And it's when I see things like this, I mostly look at it and say, I'm glad that somebody paid money to publish this because earlier, like a decade ago, right?
Right.
Like people like me published all kinds of weird shit that I knew would never sell. So many art prints and just because that's what everyone was doing. We had a lot of screen prints being made and talked about on the internet. And nowadays, when you have properties involved and you have, big artists involved, it's gotten down to where most companies, they don't take as many risks. And I really have always liked that Black Dragon does take a lot of risks. And this is, this isn't tied to anything in particular. This is a very interesting style. It's certainly got nods to Mobius and other sort of old European comic artists. So yeah, I liked it and I'm glad that it exists.
I think too, when you get into the moment we're at where there is so much talent, you don't really have to take risk anymore. I mean, there are so many proficient designers that whatever you put in front of them, like if we knew you could throw any property at us and say it has to be character driven, it has to be architecture driven, or it has to be a collage, we all know 10 guys for the job because the roster's that deep these days.
Yeah, totally. I mean, it's true. Like if I were to want to get back into publishing art prints on posters and toys or whatever, there would be 10 or 20 artists that I would feel pretty sure would at least break even on the print. And that's probably the direction I would go. And so to do this kind of thing where it's like an artist that most people in this scene don't know, not tying it to anything and using a strange psychedelic style, it takes balls and it takes money. And both those things are impressive.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. Billy, you got an opinion over there? Or are you just going to, nothing good to say?
Just waiting for you guys kept talking. I'm not going to try not to interrupt you.
That's never stopped you before.
Trying to be polite.
Well, go ahead. What's your opinion?
I like it.
I'd love to hear what you have to say.
I
want to know what you're thinking about this poster.
Shut up. I would hang this in my daughter's room for sure. There's a little bit of inconsistency with some of the outlining, but overall, I like this a lot. It's a lot of fun. It's one of those posters you can sort of really look at for a long time and sort of imagine the world. It's like it's like a bar. It's like a galaxy space truck stop kind of a thing.
Yeah.
I really like it. There's some spots where there's color, but there is no outline. Even though everything has outlines. So it's kind of weird in some spots. And then sometimes the line gets really thin. And then it's a different thickness in some other places. And I'm like, that's a little distracting.
Does it bother you that there's not a ton of green in there and it just kind of lives in the center of the poster?
That's a great question, Mark. A great fucking question.
Thank you.
So they're getting this green by mixing the yellow and the blue, I'm sure.
Yep.
Geez, that's a great question because I think that green used in that way makes him the focal point, and he's sort of the center of the bar, right? He's the guy handing out all the burgers because he's got octopus arms.
Yeah.
And so maybe that's designed that way, because then you go to your left and you see this bunny guy who's the same color as the bar, the blue bar, and he kind of gets hidden a little bit.
Yeah, I was almost thinking that maybe that trash that's on the ground could be that green, just so that it's like hard left to sort of off balance that dead center.
Maybe, or maybe that's where he wants you to look.
Yeah.
And if that's where he wants you to look, then I think the limited use of the green is on point. No, I like this a lot. I would definitely hang this in my daughter's bedroom. She would love something like this.
This guy does really good work. I would recommend everyone checking out his site. He's an artist from Amsterdam. He has a really interesting approach to editorial illustration, actually. And I just looked through my email because his name looked familiar. And we actually reached out to him in 2015 about doing a poster for Mondo, and it never happened. But I should rekindle this fire.
Fire up that email.
You probably got some shitty art direction from Rob.
I'll tell you right now.
No, like it never started.
Oh, it never materialized.
Yeah.
I tell you right now, if I were still in the design game, I'm taking a JPEG of this. I'm putting it in a folder called Color Swatches to Steel. And this would be on my horizon because even the sort of the background image where it's just those sort of rustic oranges and tans together, like there's a lot of really, really great color theory in here. And why experiment when this guy already got you there?
Speaking of color palettes to steel, a great website is wesandersonpalettes.tumblr.com. Where they just take shots from Wes Anderson films and pull all the colors out into swatches. It's great.
I'll tell you something that I tried to do as I got into doing video work. I'm like, fuck, man, like, how do I get these color palettes to look good? So I took some stills from Wes Anderson's films, imported them into my movie, and tried to do like match scenes color. And it actually got me pretty close to getting things.
Really?
Yeah, it got me pretty
that's
close.
Interesting.
But then when I realized the real way to sort of tie in all this digital photography and make it seem consistent is to take a layer of white, put it over the top of the entire film, and sometimes adjust the opacity, but it really brought everything together and gave it that matte finish that I love so much.
Really?
So there's a little bit of color theory for you in a different application. All right, moving up our countdown. Number 9 brings us to a poster of a cat. Everybody loves the cat.
Do you go up a countdown or do you go down a countdown?
I go with the Casey Kasem, counting your way all the way up to number 1 this week, moving up the
I agree
charts
with
3
that.
positions.
Well, then should it be a count up then?
Oh boy.
You want to put on
saying.
that number 1 dad hat again,
Well,
Dad Joker?
I think the idea is that you're counting down the number. The number is getting smaller.
Oh,
Yeah, so I'm going down the count. I'm going down the count.
just shut up. Number 9 is Portent, an art print by Nicole Gustafsson. And it's a beautiful little Jaclay. Hey, everybody here remember when they didn't know how to say the word Jaclay and they called it a G-Slee or a G-Clee? Remember that?
Yeah.
There was a run for a while. Nobody knew how to say the word Jaclay.
Yeah,
I remember looking it up. I remember looking it up on the internet.
Jaclay.
I didn't know how to say Bezier.
Oh,
And
yeah.
then I was on the phone with Adobe Illustrator and I said Beziers on the phone and they fucking laughed their asses off at me. And I was like, I've never said that word out loud before in my life. Like I didn't know how to say
And
it.
this is how Billy Bauman, design villain, was born.
That's
This
right.
is a real Captain Underpants story.
Oh, you're right. I can't find this poster. What is it called?
It's called Portent. Portent. It's an art print
like
by
omens and portents.
Yes, and it's an art print by Nicole Gustafsson. And
While Billy looks, this is a great print.
Pontificate.
Nicole is a painter based out of the Pacific Northwest now, but she's actually from Nebraska, kind of close to where I used to live originally. And she's been doing really great work for a long time. She's been in a ton of group shows. She's actually done some really great work for Mondo. She did the Ratatouille record packaging for us.
Oh, wow.
And we put a printout of it as well. But yeah, she's a very versatile painter. I'm glad that more people are hitting her up to make prints because she's extremely underrated and I assume does quite well.
Yeah, this print, like, we've all seen the cat 1,000 times, but it feels familiar but unique. And then the way that she put in all the flowers and sort of worked the background, there's like nice layering, and it jumped out at me as something that we've seen before, but a different take on it. Billy?
What's these People's Print Shop, Mitch?
The People's Print Shop is yet another outlet for Ken Harmon, who has Spoke Art and whatever other industries that he's a part of. It started out as a site it was pretty interesting. It started out as a site that had a lot of viral reach because I believe it's co-owned or was somehow involved with the guy that runs the Supersonic blog on Tumblr, Billy, if you know that one, and Mark.
I don't tumble.
Anyway, well, it's a big illustration blog, and it's very popular. And so it started as a outlet for them to do prints kind of like this, but they were doing them as open editions. And they were also putting like some of the Wes Anderson stuff from Spoke Art through here, and some of the editions were fucking gigantic. And then I assume that must have fizzled out a little bit because now they've gone to almost micro editions. But this is kind of what they do. They do fine art stuff, relatively small giclées and relatively small editions, and they're very affordable. So it's a cool site.
Are you guys still a little prejudiced against giclées?
Yes.
No. And I'll tell you why if you want to know.
Would love to.
Yeah.
I certainly agree that given the choice of having the exact same thing, the exact same look, screen printed or giclée, everyone's going to choose the texture of a screen print, right? The thing is, in this day and age where people have advanced to separating crazy full color images, oftentimes a separated full color image looks worse screen printed than it does giclée. That's just the way it is, and people go out of their way to turn solid colors into dithers to screen print them. And so I believe that if you have a full color screen print and your two choices are dithering it all up to be screen printed or making a nice giclée, I would rather have the giclée.
Yeah, if you're talking about every layer is a dither and you're getting up to like 12 colors, just go to giclée at that point.
Yeah, I think some people do abuse the silkscreen system. I just feel like, though, and I know what Billy was getting at, with the giclée, there's really no restriction. But with the traditional gig poster, there's a lot of restriction, a lot of restraint that you have to sort of apply to your artwork. So, Billy, you totally nailed it. Every time I see a giclée, I'm like, oh, you know, like I just take it down a notch.
I agree with that. I mean, I do agree. I'm less likely to buy a giclée just because there's this weird block in my brain that's like, well, you know, they could always print more of these easily or blah, 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 and look exactly the same. But I do think that from an artist's perspective, I mean, listen, we've taken people's paintings or full color images and paid tons of money to have them separated down for screen printing, and there'll be one or two tones that are slightly off in color, and they then don't want to do it anymore. And so there are a lot of artists that would rather have their art perfectly replicated in a.
But here's the thing, as Mark and I can attest from an artist who did their own steps and own printing, we realize, and the reason that we may be a little prejudiced is that we realize that there's two arts happening in a screen print, right, as opposed to one. Now, it doesn't make one better than the other, but when you're designing for screen printing, it's a whole other thing. It's a whole other fucking monster, especially if you're not one of these people that are just taking your painting and then having someone fucking separate it into 20 colors.
Right.
Like,
right.
When you're the artist and when you're the designer and the color separator, right? It creates this whole new level of appreciation in me when I see something that was designed and separated by the same person.
And you're missing one other factor there, Billy, and that's perfectly said. But the other thing is that you also have the talent to mix that color in a bucket and figure out how to make that color in the bucket look like the color that you want on the paper, which is a whole other thing, you know? So there is a lot of craftsmanship because you're seeing it the whole way through. You're not hitting apple P. But I will say this. I mean,
a drawing, but that doesn't affect how good a drawing is. That's like,
no,
we're just talking about the two other arts, the separating and the printing.
How many people even do that anymore, though? How many people make their art, separate it, and print it themselves anymore?
That's got to be
you want me to take a bow here?
I mean, I know you do, and you have all your other Chicago cronies, but it's not very many.
I would like to point this out too when we're looking at the whole difference of all of that. Like, you know, you're taking it to the bucket, you're seeing it through the entire process. It's become a little bit of a lost art form, but and I always kind of rolled my nose up at the giclées until I started hanging out at Static Medium, and I saw that printing a giclée is a lot harder. I used to just think it was.
Sure.
I used to think it was Apple P,
Press print,
and
yeah.
we need 1,200 of these Mike Mitchell guys, and we go home and we show up, and there's a pile of them there. The amount of shit that they throw away at that place was mind-boggling, and the amount of tinkering around to get things just right. So it did give me a whole other respect for the difficulty of the digital print.
And listen, just to be clear, there are people that just push Apple P.
Yeah,
So
sure.
that is the difference. But just like screen printing, that's the difference between going to people that are the best of the best or not. Most of my discussion I was putting specifically to this piece.
Yeah.
If you gave me the choice of having this piece as a screen print or a giclée, I would probably choose a giclée. But I do agree that aesthetically, I do appreciate the restraint involved in making a screen print.
Speaking, let's get back to this piece for a second. I didn't even notice, like, there's kind of like a skull on the back, an octopus skull on the back of this cat.
Good call.
What's going on there? What do you think?
I think this cat is possessed. I think all cats represent Satan. All good dogs
I
go
agree
to
with
heaven,
all that. I agree.
but all cats go to hell. That
And
is-
also, I mean, isn't
They like it there. It's warm.
a portent refers to like something witchy, doesn't it? I think
I think so.
It's like a it's like a warning,
sign or a warning that something, especially momentous or calamitous, is likely to happen.
So there you go. This cat
Evil
is
cat.
clearly on his 9 live, and he's getting ready to go see Lucifer.
He's going to take you down with him. Is what he's going to do.
Absolutely. All right, let's
The
move.
more we talk about this print, the more I like it. Yeah.
Billy, am I moving up the countdown or am I moving down the countdown? Now you've got me so confused with your cop talking.
Listen, you tell me, buddy.
All right.
Whatever you want, whichever way you want to go. Listen, whatever.
We're kind of a mess tonight.
Yeah,
we're kind of like, just think of us like we're in a yurt right now, Mark, and we'll just think about this as a circle. We're not up and down. We're going to go in a circle.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
We're going to glamp this list.
Yeah.
In a circle. Okay.
Billy, I would just like for you to know that everybody yurts sometime. Number 8 on our poster countdown. Thank you for ragging
I
on.
got the dad jokes.
Thank you for ragging on my weekend. Number 8 on the poster countdown. How was that changing dirty diapers all weekend? We have Fish poster by Paul Krisenbeck.
Yeah. So this is our guy from last month where we were like, this guy's making a turn here with that Ween poster. And then look how good this is.
The turn keeps turning. This thing is fucking great, man.
Yeah, it's really good. It's interesting because if you go back and look at his work, and I think we've covered it even before that Fish or that Ween poster.
Yeah.
Something has happened here because the layer of, or the level of texturing and layering and composition going on here has seriously leveled up.
Big time. I mean, big time. Like the serpent going through, this water. I mean, it looks like we're in some sort of
The flood.
tsunami. Tsunami.
Yeah. I think so.
And then there's these like little, witchy things, little spooky things coming down from the top.
Yeah.
The extreme perspective on the watch out tower and the stairs going down. Like there's a lot packed in here, but nothing is compromised by the other. And then these close waves, the waves that we can really see how the water is building and maturing for the craziness. They're really well done. I mean, this is a fucking great poster. This guy is on a run. And then I love the July 17, 2018 postage stamp. Always love when you have fun with the date. Paul, you just keep on keeping on, brother.
I want you to do something here that's pretty interesting, okay? Click on the image so you go through to his website, all right?
I'm clicking through.
There's actually 2 Fish posters, and look how good the other one is, too. They go together.
Oh, no shit. Paul, look at you. Look at you, Paul.
I like that other one.
You're killing it.
The other one's awesome.
Yeah, looking around the tree, and then there's a little bit of Sleeping Beauty stylization there.
A little bit of Ivan Earl going on here.
Thank you. Thank you for pulling that reference out. Yeah, this is great. Paul, keep on keeping on, my man. We're seeing an artist find his path. Billy, go ahead and tear it apart.
I mean, first of all, green, really? It's 2018. Nobody's doing green anymore. No, that's really cool. I don't know what the fuck these little spirit things are coming off the S. I don't know what the fuck's happening there. I'd be curious to hear his artist statement. But yeah, this is pretty cool. Yeah, and what's it? You know what it says state line? Right?
Yeah.
What's that little dark spot below there? What is that? Is that a wizard?
I think it's the other poster. I think it's that little plot of land, that
shit.
floating orb from the secondary poster.
Oh, it's a floating orb with a tree on it?
Yeah.
Oh, I see. I think it is that floating orb. So then is the other poster a closer up view and this one's really far away? I don't know. But anyway, do you know what's sweet about making a fish poster? You can put weird witchy things all over the sky and people like you and I don't know what it is, and that motherfucker still sells out.
No, they would. This is what they'd say. It's like, oh, cool. From the Chattanooga bootleg when they played Floating Orbs and then they mashed up the bridge from Bats Have Eyes. Man, Paul, you nailed it, man. Way to miracle me into a show, bro.
Listen, if you are new to fish posters out there, just go to the fish Facebook page where they post other posters and just read the comments. It's one of the best things about doing a fish poster is getting the comments, the hundred of comments that you'll get on their Facebook page.
Let me tell you guys a story. Let me tell you guys a nightmare story that just happened to me if we have time for a quick aside.
Oh, please do.
If there's anyone more vocal than fish fans, it's Pearl Jam fans.
Oh, okay? Yeah.
Really? I haven't done a Pearl Jam poster.
And I recently sold a Pearl Jam poster, and for some reason, when I went to sell it in Shopify, it defaulted to don't track this item's inventory. Okay, and I didn't catch it. All right.
You oversold.
So I put up for sale, and luckily I checked about 30 seconds later because I was like, I wonder how fast this is going to sell out. And it was already minus 60. Okay.
That's a lot of emails you got to send out, buddy.
So I immediately stop it. And I, within a half an hour, refunded and emailed all 60 people. And let's just say I got more than one direct fuck yous that day.
Wow.
Yeah.
You destroyed their dreams.
Yeah.
Fuck you.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Fuck
Straight
you.
up fuck yous.
Signed
people.
E. Vetter. Oh man, no, this is a great one. Paul is on the uptick. Hey, real quick, while we're doing a little bit of side story, I want to bring up a print, and I think this artist should be confident enough to not take this personal. JC Richard put out a Rocky poster last month. You getting broken into there, Mitch?
I don't know what's going on.
Those
Maker.
those Horky fans scaling up the side of the building.
Dehumidifier.
Oh, okay. Well, you're going to find some humidity today. So, JC Richard, fantastic artist, did a Rocky poster. And, I will be honest, this poster it's hard to get into it because it's extreme landscape. So it's hard to really dive in and see all the details.
That's kind of his shtick, right?
He loves the 12 by 36. Yes.
He does, one way or the other.
Landscape. Oh, one way or the other.
But this is the thing that I wanted to bring up because I looked at it and I go, man, what a just killer illustration. But then I thought about it in the context of being a poster, and it just really didn't move me, even though it is fantastically done. So sort of the idea that this poster put into my mind when I looked at it is, is there a difference in making a really, really great illustration and then making a really, really great poster? Because the two don't always equate the same. Correct, Billy?
Yeah, absolutely right. If I feel okay, first of all, JC's a really nice guy.
Super nice guy.
Here we go.
Really super talented.
Set it up. He's setting it up.
Way more talented than I could ever be. But yeah, I definitely agree. A poster is more than an illustration.
Yes.
Poster is not an illustration. And I'm going to have to agree with you on that poster, Mark. Let's go back to one of my favorite posters I want to talk about for a second, and we're going to sort of compare them and why I think one is better than the other subjectively. The Ali Moss Jungle Book poster.
Oh, yeah. Go ahead and pull a hit out of your ass.
What?
I said, go ahead and pull a real hit out of your ass there.
Well, this is what I'm talking about. Okay, so it's an illustration of Shere Khan from the back.
Yep.
But then his stripes turn into the jungle branches, and then you got Mowgli on the branch with the snake in his stripes.
Yeah.
Right. The idea of combining the two images like that, the storytelling that has, that is that's graphic design. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
Like that, to me, that is what makes a really great poster, right? But if you're just taking a scene from a film and illustrating it, that's an illustration. That's not a poster. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
In my eyes, because what a poster needs to do, I think it really needs to interact with the audience. And I think that's like that Ali Moss, and what so much of Ali Moss's best work does is it really communicates with an audience because it gets them to think about it, and there's like a surprise in it, and it connects with somebody. And when I was looking at that Rocky poster, I was like, where's the cute bit? Where's his boxing glove in the smoke of the ship or whatever, or like what, you know what I mean? Like where's the clever bit in this that makes it a poster? You know what I mean? Like, or if we talk about Jason Edmondson's Rocky IV poster, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, it's very obvious, right? But it's a mountain, and at the top it's got
Drago?
Ivan Drago or whatever at the top, and it's got Rocky doing his training scene. Now, Rocky's doing his training scene, right? Just like in the movie, in the snow, right? But we've added another level to it to make it a poster.
Right.
And to me, that's what this Rocky poster is missing. Now, it could be just potatoes. Some people like maybe more of an illustration. But to me, a great poster is that thing, you know? And that's not to say I am not guilty or I'm not.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I was going to say something here. And by the way, that was perfectly said, Billy. But maybe J.C. Richard fell into the trap that we've all fell into, where you get so in love with building an illustration or a part, and you're just working it. And when you're done, you're like, I nailed the crane. I nailed the boat off into the distance. I nailed the landscape. But then when you put it together, you're like, oh. You know what I mean? Like, you put so much time and effort into getting something just perfect. But then when you look at the work from across the room, when the work's actually done, you're like, I kind of put a lot of time into something that didn't sew up together at the end. You know what I'm saying?
Sure. No, I do. You know, when I look at, I work with junior designers and my students a lot, and especially the junior designers we have in-house, and they show me the sketches or things they're working on for a poster.
Yeah.
And a lot of times I'm like, okay, what makes this a poster? Like, this is, like, to me, and this is very subjective, but to me, a poster needs to be, it's kind of got to be a little in your face. Not every poster. I mean, but like, if you look at the fish posters, these are kind of in your face. These are posters.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They kind of, I'm not saying they need to be Mountain Dew commercials and they have like a screaming guy on it or whatever, but there has to be something engaging and interactive and interesting about it. Now, JC's posters, expertly crafted, well done, but it's not a poster to me, you know?
I actually disagree with this. Here's my thought on this. I think, first of all, I want to tell an Ali Moss story after this, but I think that my fucking main problem with this poster is, again, my extreme dislike for the 12 by 36 format. And I think that if this poster were 24 by 36 or 18 by 24 and were worked in with more sky and more background, and Rocky was a pretty small part of the image, I think this would be a good poster.
Yeah.
I think the problem is right now you're looking at a fucking widescreen image off a TV smashed down in anamorphic widescreen, and I despise this format. I talk to Ken Taylor about this all the time. They're terrible to fucking ship. They're terrible to store. They're terrible to fucking hang. They're just terrible. So
that has nothing to do with the art and the design of a poster,
listen,
though.
Listen,
I'm just saying. No
I'm just
offense,
saying,
but that has nothing to do with anything.
but everything I led with does have to do with the composition and with the design. I'm saying besides that, here are the other reasons I extremely dislike this format. But you have to admit that were this poster built out twice as tall and were Rocky's still the same size, it gives it a lot more scope. It makes his world seem bigger. It makes him seem smaller in the world, and it makes it a better poster.
Preach.
Yes, it would. That would make it a better poster. But that is the hidden Mowgli. Thank you. I can never say that in the poster, right?
Mm-hmm.
Then
yeah,
yes.
I suppose. I don't know. Yeah, I just think that right now it's saying nothing. But again, if it were taller and if Rocky stays as small, you're making the statement that Rocky is a very small person that has to overcome very large everything.
100%.
He's tiny. He's tiny. He's a tiny person.
And that's Billy's idea that, we're used to Rocky being so big and grandiose. This artist decided to make Rocky small and the common man. It would be amazing if it had that extra 12 inches.
Yeah, I mean, it'd be literally twice as tall. Now, I was going to tell a funny Ali Moss story. I just did a panel with Matt Taylor at San Diego Comic-Con. It's funny you mentioned the Ali Moss thing within a thing aesthetic. And Matt Taylor was saying that when the Ali Moss thing within a thing rage was so huge, he would get...
Wait. I agree, but he didn't invent the thing within a thing.
He didn't invent the thing within a thing. You could argue he perfected it, though.
Oh, nice.
Jesus Christ.
Anyway, when the thing within a thing rage was huge, every client that Matt Taylor got hired by would say, hey, could you do this thing within a thing type thing? And Matt Taylor would be like, he would try it, and then he'd eventually be like, no, this isn't my strength, but you should talk to my friend Ali Moss. And every single one was like, oh yeah, we already reached out to him and he didn't answer. Could you put us in touch with him? Yeah. Every single client, Matt Taylor was their second choice to do the thing within a thing.
That's amazing.
I thought that was a funny story.
Moving up our countdown or moving down our countdown, number 7 comes to
around the countdown.
Moving around the countdown clockwise, we find our friend from the Thunder Down Under. It's a Pearl Jam poster by Ken Taylor. I like this Ken Taylor poster a lot because it's 18 by 24. He filled up the space. I thought the illustration of the demon dog was quite great. I love the little crest over on the left-hand side, the postage stamp. Pearl Jam is a band that has like a lot of weight to their namesake. And even though this thing isn't completely blown out and there's not all this crazy shit happening everywhere, I found this to be a good modern version of a classic gig poster, and I like the restraint and the color palette. The blue and the red is fantastic.
I agree, and this is the poster I was talking about that I oversold and got fuck yous in response to. To me, this poster is a masterclass. To me, what sets this poster apart is amazing mastery of an incredibly minimal color palette.
Yep.
You can tell people make a blue and red poster. That's all you can use. 90% of them aren't going to be this good. Ken's been doing this for a long time, and I think it shows.
Is that French paper or is that colored?
That's colored.
Okay.
They use I don't know how much I'm supposed to be talking about this, but I believe they use a place that prints stickers for their printing, as do a few other bands. And wow, their posters stink so bad.
Oh, they're using plastisol.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Or something, UV or something.
Wow.
So if I do a poster for Pearl Jam, they've got their own print house that they...
If you do a poster for Pearl Jam, you cannot print it.
Wow. And do they send you APs?
Yes.
Okay.
A good amount.
Oh, wow. Cool.
Good job.
Oh, I thought it was just selling bootlegs.
No, it's a Pearl Jam is, again, this is like, I don't know how much I should talk about this, but Pearl Jam is in a lot of ways sort of the premier poster job to get, because everyone talks about the Fish job. A, Fish limits the price at which you can sell it, and B, Fish owns your artwork in the end. And neither of those things are true with Pearl Jam.
Wow.
How many APs you get of the Pearl Jam?
Well, you can see that the AP edition was 105.
Oh,
sorry, I don't read so good.
That's a good payday. Hey, you know what makes this poster fun is that the chain and the demon dog, they allude to where the horizon is that he's sitting on, but it's great that Ken just didn't even put it there. There's no shadow. Like, even though the character has a lot of shadow and a lot of depth to him, and you can see how the tail corkscrews around itself, and it obviously goes behind the wings, just leaving out any sort of reference to the ground makes this a gig poster. It's that, like, there's a lot of detail, there's no detail. Like, to me, a good gig poster, a good concert poster always has that juxtaposition of real and abstract, and they should just be dancing together at all times.
It's interesting. When you say that, it would be kind of cool to see this with a shadow.
To me, the reason I like this, and I wonder if it's the reason you like it as well, Mark, to me, this looks like a skateboard graphic.
Yes. You could see this on a Pal Peralta deck, no doubt.
Yeah, well, it's the same exact color scheme of the Screaming Hand.
Yeah.
Right.
And he's been doing some work with Santa Cruz, and it's pretty similar work to that.
Yeah.
All right, let's move up our countdown to number 6. We have a guy who pops up from time to time. I believe he's a German cat, Simon Marchner, and his national poster, along with Churches, I guess, is the main support. This is a guy who we keep seeing sort of experimenting, and he's doing the minimalist thing, and he's trying to get it down. He's trying to get it right. I thought that this was him really sort of dialing in what we've seen him flirt with over the last couple of years of doing this. And I thought this national Churches poster, we've seen the ship in the water before. We've seen it from DKNG. I've done it myself. But I thought that this was a really interesting take on it. The way that he did the horizon line and sort of the white silk screened out to show the clouds going away in the full moon. And the boats are very stylized. You get the reflection in the water. I just thought that this was a really, really well done modern gig poster.
I love this poster. This is probably my favorite thing he's done yet, and I like his work a lot. The one thing I did want to ask you guys is, how do you feel about the placement of the opening band being above the main band? It's technically behind it.
Yeah, I think it's really cool.
Yeah, I at first my brain didn't really know what to do with it, but it's actually a really clever way to handle that.
Yeah. I thought that was neat as well. And, he got lucky that it's a solid 2-band bill. Like, you want to put Churches in there with some sort of prominent view, because that's going to help sell an extra 25, 50 of your prints.
Yeah. It'd be a bummer to have this be 6 bands. I think
there are bands.
Ships.
I think there are bands next to the National.
I'm just making a joke.
It would look like Long Beach.
But really, I do think that there are some bands next to the National in brown. But I like this poster a lot. My only question is, how the fuck does this thing look printed? Because it seems like there's a lot of shit going on here.
A lot of halftones.
Yeah, I have a feeling this is one of those prints where, you set it up for silkscreen, and that file goes out the door, and then it's time to show everybody what you just accomplished, and you go, I'm going to set up a different file for online. Like, I just have a feeling that we are not looking at a high-res JPEG of what went to the silkscreen.
Which is kind of fair, right? Because in the gig poster world, as we all know, the actual people that end up with the gig poster is like such a small fraction compared to what you're hoping to do with the image online. So
it's 137 people.
Right. So kind of fair for him to get more traction out of it online, having it look as he wished it would have, That's
an interesting point. Yeah, fuck those people that buy it.
Yeah, fuck the people that pay your bills.
No, I like this poster. I think the color choice is really interesting.
Great colors.
That's a color I don't see or use. It's kind of peach. Would you call it? Sort of a creamy peach.
Yeah.
Which was my nickname in high school, actually.
I don't like that at all.
Here's what's... Is he using... forgive me for having old man eyes. Oh, yeah. I was trying to figure out if he actually... There's white printed on the cream stock, correct?
No.
Okay.
That's just knocked out.
No. That's knocked out. I like that too. Now that you point that out, I like the boats running knocked out into the border.
Yeah. I mean, and the boats, there's a lot of, obviously he probably on the outside of the artboard or even underneath this, there's an image of a couple of cruise ships, but you can tell that he probably used that to get him started. but then just really put his own narrative in here. And there's a lot of really good negative space on how, there's enough for us to know what's happening, but he didn't burden himself with every little detail, every little light, every little anchor, every little rail. Like, it's just enough to tell the story. And the color choice is really, really well done.
Yeah, I mean, I really like this poster. I really feel like this could be a number one poster for me. And he is on quite the roll, too, because he had the Mogwai one that we covered of sort of the birds in the sunset. Then he had the Noel Gallagher flying birds, one of the birds flying over the fields. And then this is his third one in a row. So
enough with the birds, Simon.
He's on a pretty good roll.
He is. All right. Well, Billy, what did you just say about this poster? That if you're making kind of an image that's not true of the silk screen, you're fucking over the 137 people that paid for it, which are actually your client?
I was just kidding.
Well, speaking of fucking of your clients, let's get into the circle of trust right now with our top 5 prints. We're going to look at 5 more prints. We've got a surprise artist in there that's going to blow your mind.
Billy Bauman.
Smoke him if you got him.
Someone we normally don't see in our top 5, as well
Billy
as
Bauman?
Maybe, as well as some side stories. I got some great side stories here, but the boys are so chatty and the conversation's going so organically. Who knows how much of it we'll get to in the COT? I know who knows. Members of the Circle of Trust, and it starts right now. Sign up today at aidpodcast.com. Billy Bauman, are you ready for your number 5 poster?
Oh boy.
Yes.